It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Your alarm goes off. You roll over, you look down, and there it is. That same stubborn belly, puffy face, a little bloated, and you haven't even eaten yet. And it's not like you haven't been trying. You've been watching what you eat. You're not just sitting around doing nothing. But that belly fat, it doesn't care. It's not moving. Here's what nobody tells you. And this is the thing that changed everything for me when I learned it. In the next 60 minutes after waking, your body is going to make a decision. And that decision determines whether you burn fat or store it for the entire rest of the day. Most people think belly fat is a willpower problem. Like if you just had more discipline, more motivation, more clean eating energy, it would go away. But science is telling us something way more uncomfortable than that. Your belly fat isn't listening to your willpower. It's listening to your cortisol. And if you haven't heard that word before, cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. And it is one of the biggest and most overlooked drivers of stubborn belly fat that almost nobody is talking about. And the way your morning starts is essentially a message you're sending to your own biology. Either we're safe, burn the fat, or we're in danger, hold on to everything. Today, I'm going to walk you through the exact morning protocol, backed by science, that convinces your nervous system it is finally safe to let go of that visceral fat. And no, it doesn't start with a workout. It starts the second you open your eyes. Let's get into it. Before we get into what to do, you need to understand why this is happening. Because once you get the why, the protocol makes total sense. There's an enzyme in your body called lipoprotein lipase, or LPL. Think of it as a bouncer at the door of your fat cells. When cortisol is high, LPL is activated, and it starts pulling energy out of your bloodstream and locking it inside fat cells. Basically storing calories instead of burning them. Now, here's where belly fat specifically becomes the enemy. Visceral fat, that's the deep abdominal fat, the dangerous kind, has 4 times more cortisol receptors than regular subcutaneous fat. That's the softer fat sitting just under your skin, the kind you can pinch. Visceral fat is different. It wraps around your organs, and that's what makes it so much more harmful. And because it has 4 times more cortisol receptors, it is far more reactive to stress than any other fat in your body. When cortisol spikes, visceral fat is the first to respond, and it responds by holding on tighter. And guess what? Every single morning, your body wakes up in a state I'd call metabolic vulnerability. You're dehydrated from 8 hours of no water. Your cortisol is already naturally elevated. That's the cortisol awakening response. It's supposed to happen. And your hormones are in this sensitive window where the signals you send in the first 60 minutes can influence your metabolism for the rest of the day. So the question is, what signals are you sending? The very first mistake most people make, and I was absolutely guilty of this, is reaching for coffee the second they wake up. I get it. I love coffee. But here's the problem. Caffeine is a diuretic. You're already dehydrated from sleeping. The moment you start with coffee, you're stacking a stress chemical, caffeine, on top of a body that's already running low on fluids. And dehydration? To your nervous system, dehydration is a threat signal. It signals scarcity. And when your body senses scarcity, it does not burn fat. It stores it. So the very first thing you want to do is hydrate before you caffeinate. But not just with plain water. Here's what actually works. Warm or hot water. Just avoid cold because cold water can trigger a mild stress response first thing in the morning. With a pinch of natural sea salt or Himalayan pink salt and a squeeze of lemon. Avoid regular table salt. It's heavily processed, stripped of minerals, and linked to health issues like high blood pressure and water retention. Why salt? Because sodium and potassium are what your body uses to signal resource abundance. When you give your cells those minerals, you're removing one of the key stress signals your body wakes up with, and that's one less reason for cortisol to stay elevated. And the lemon? That's not just there to make it taste better. The vitamin C boost it provides has been shown in research to help lower cortisol levels, and studies suggest lemon compounds may support liver enzyme function, helping your body process and eliminate waste more efficiently. Together, they're sending your body a powerful two-part signal. We are hydrated, we have resources, and we are safe. It sounds almost too simple, but this one change alone, warm or hot water with salt and lemon before anything else, is one of the highest leverage moves you can make for your morning cortisol. One quick tip though, although lemon is alkaline to the blood, it is acidic in the mouth, so it's worth drinking this through a straw to protect your tooth enamel, or rinsing your mouth with plain water straight after. Small habit, big difference for your dental health long term. Okay, you've hydrated. Now let's talk about light, because this one is underrated and it's a game changer. In your brain, there's a region called the hypothalamus, and inside it is your body's master clock. This clock controls your metabolic rhythms, when to burn fat, when to store it, when cortisol should peak, and when it should decline. And that clock is set by light, specifically by the wavelength and intensity of the light that hits your eyes in the morning. Here's the problem. Your bedroom, your kitchen, your office, indoor lighting is about 500 lux of brightness. Sounds fine, right? Except your master clock needs 10,000 lux to properly set. You're getting 5% of what your biology actually requires. Outdoor morning light, even on a cloudy day, delivers that. 10 to 20 minutes of natural sunlight to your eyes in the morning tells your hypothalamus, it's day, it's safe, start the metabolic shift. Now, and this is the part people mess up, do not reach for your phone first. I know, it's the first thing most of us do. But here's what's happening in your brain when you scroll social media immediately after waking up. Your dopamine system, which is already in that vulnerable, sensitive morning state, gets flooded. Dopamine and cortisol spike simultaneously, and your brain interprets that overstimulation as, the world is chaotic, something is wrong, hold your resources. Translated to body language, store fat. So the sequence is water first, then sunlight, then screens. Give yourself just 10 minutes of outdoor light before touching your phone. That's it. One single habit. This is the one people push back on the most, but stay with me because the science here is genuinely fascinating. You know that groggy feeling when you first wake up? That's adenosine, a molecule that accumulates in your brain throughout the day and creates what's called sleep pressure. When you sleep, your brain clears it. When you wake up, there's still a little left over. Now, caffeine doesn't energize you by giving you energy. It works by blocking adenosine receptors so you don't feel the tiredness. The adenosine is still there. You've just masked it. Here's where it gets important. Your body has a natural cortisol peak in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking. It's called the cortisol awakening response, and it's actually designed to clear that leftover adenosine and wake you up naturally. If you drink coffee during that window, you're essentially interrupting a process your body was already doing for free, and you build caffeine tolerance faster. Worse, when that suppressed adenosine finally crashes through later in the day, usually around 2 p.m., you feel like you've hit a wall. And what do you crave when you crash? Sugar, simple carbs, the exact things that spike insulin and tell your body to store fat. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman popularized the 90-minute rule, And while there's no single clinical trial pinpointing 90 minutes as the magic number, the underlying science is solid. Waiting until your natural cortisol peak has passed, roughly 60 to 90 minutes after waking, means caffeine works with your biology rather than against it. Wait 60 to 90 minutes after waking to have your coffee. Let the natural cortisol peak do its job. Then use caffeine as an amplifier, not a jumpstart. It's a small delay. The payoff lasts all day. Here's a question. Should you work out in the morning to burn belly fat faster? The answer is, it depends on the type of workout. High-intensity exercise, HIIT, heavy lifting, done first thing in the morning can actually spike cortisol significantly. And if your cortisol is already elevated from a rough night's sleep or a stressful morning, stacking intense exercise on top of that can signal danger to your body. And when your body senses danger, visceral fat gets more defended, not less. What works better? A walk. And there's a really specific reason for this, something called optic flow. That constant forward visual movement, what neuroscientists call optic flow, has a direct neurological effect on the brain's fear center. A brain imaging study published in the Journal of Neuroscience found that lateral eye movements temporarily deactivate the amygdala. That's the almond-shaped region deep in your brain that acts as your internal alarm system, constantly scanning for threats and triggering your stress response when it finds one. When the amygdala quiets down, cortisol follows. Neuroscientist Andrew Huberman of Stanford has argued that walking specifically mimics this effect, calming the fear system simply by moving through the world. Think about it. When you're sitting still and anxious, your amygdala is running hot. When you're moving through the world, it calms down. It's a built-in regulation mechanism. So a morning walk, especially outside, sends a double safety signal. You're getting optic flow quieting the amygdala, and you're getting sunlight hitting the hypothalamus. Stress drops, cortisol drops, and that's the metabolic environment where your body finally feels safe enough to tap into visceral fat stores. 20 to 30 minutes. No headphones if you can. Just walk. Now, we've saved this one until last for a reason. We needed you to understand the science first. The cortisol, the LPL enzyme, the metabolic vulnerability window, all of it. Because this next signal is so simple that without that context, you'd probably scroll straight past it. But now that you understand what's actually happening in your body every morning, this is going to make complete sense. This is actually the very first thing you do each day. Before your feet hit the floor, before the water, the sunlight, the walk, any of it. Breathing. And I know you're thinking, I already breathe. I do it all day. What's the big deal? Here's the thing. The way most of us breathe, shallow, fast, chest-based, is actually a low-grade stress signal that keeps your nervous system in a mild threat state all day long. Deep, intentional breathing is a completely different physiological event, and the difference matters enormously for visceral fat. Here's why. When you breathe deeply into your diaphragm, your belly actually expanding, not just your chest, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest branch, the opposite of fight or flight. And when the parasympathetic system takes over, cortisol drops, adrenaline drops. The body gets the message, we are safe. Now here's where it gets really interesting for fat loss specifically. A study published in the Journal of Physical Therapy Science found that people who practiced diaphragmatic breathing showed a measurably higher resting metabolic rate than those who didn't. Your metabolism actually runs faster when your nervous system isn't in a stress response. Breathing can literally change how many calories you burn at rest. Research also suggests that slow-paced breathing may help regulate food cravings, meaning you're less likely to reach for something you don't need, which over time makes a real difference to fat loss. And a 2014 study published in the Medical Science Monitor found that participants who practiced pranayama breathing exercises, that's a form of structured breath work, for 33 minutes a day over 15 days, not only reduced their BMI and belly fat, but also increased their levels of leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you're full. So you're not just burning more, you're also craving less. That's a double win. And then there's the cortisol connection, which is the whole point of everything we've talked about today. A meta-analysis published in Scientific Reports, one of the world's leading science journals, found that slow-paced breathwork was consistently linked to lower cortisol levels. And a separate study in Frontiers in Psychology confirmed that diaphragmatic breathing over time produced significantly lower cortisol, the same cortisol that's been activating LPL and locking fat into your visceral stores. You're literally using your breath as a biological lever to drop your stress hormones. So here's what the protocol looks like, and this takes less than 5 minutes. Before you even get out of bed, before your feet hit the floor, before you touch your phone, before anything else, just lie there and do this. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 6 to 8 counts. That extended exhale is the most effective way to activate the parasympathetic system, though even slow, steady breathing at any ratio will help. Do that for 3 to 5 minutes. You can also try diaphragmatic breathing on its own, one hand on your chest, one on your belly. The goal is that the hand on your belly rises, and the hand on your chest stays relatively still. Most people do the opposite their whole lives. Either way, what you're doing is sending a deliberate safety signal to your nervous system before the day has even had a chance to stress you out. You haven't checked your phone, you haven't seen the news, you haven't reacted to anything. You've just quietly, intentionally told your body, through the breath, that there is nothing to run from. There is no threat. And that is the state where visceral fat gets released. 5 minutes, still in bed, before anything else. That's it. And here's the thing. This isn't just a morning tool. Anytime you feel your stress levels rising during the day, a difficult email, a tense conversation, a moment of overwhelm, just 3 to 5 minutes of slow, deliberate breathing can begin to interrupt that cortisol spike before it takes hold. You don't need to find a quiet room or close your eyes. Even at your desk, slow your breath down and extend that exhale. Your nervous system will respond. Think of it as a reset button you carry with you everywhere, completely free, always available. Okay, so we've built the morning. But here's something most people overlook. How you close the day matters just as much as how you open it. Your liver has its own biological clock. Scientists call it the hepatic oscillator. And after about 7 p.m., the liver starts winding down digestive enzyme production by up to 40%. Your gut literally becomes less efficient at processing food at night. And insulin sensitivity? It follows the same pattern. Carbohydrates eaten at night cause an insulin spike that's roughly 40% higher than the exact same meal eaten in the morning. 40%. Same food, different time, completely different metabolic response. So if you're eating a big, carb-heavy dinner at 9 p.m. and wondering why the scale isn't moving, this is your answer. Try to set a soft cutoff for your last meal around 7 p.m. And if you're going to eat carbs, front-load them earlier in the day. Now, blue light. Blue light from your phone, your TV, your laptop. It suppresses melatonin production by up to 90%. And melatonin isn't just a sleep hormone. It signals the pancreas to shift into an overnight fat-burning mode. When you block melatonin with late-night screen exposure, you block that metabolic shift. Blue light glasses are a good start. Dimming the lights in your home in the evening takes it a step further, if it's safe to do so. Switching your screens to night mode is better still. And ideally, avoiding screens for at least 30 to 60 minutes before bed. And if you can push that to 2 hours, Harvard Health research suggests that's even better for your melatonin levels. And finally, your sleep temperature. If your room is warm, this one's worth trying. Cooling your room to around 65 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 18 to 19 degrees Celsius, at night, has been shown in research published in the journal Diabetes to expand brown adipose tissue mass and activity. BAT is metabolically active fat. Its job is to burn regular white fat to generate heat. And here's something interesting. Studies show BAT activity tends to be lower in people carrying excess weight, making this an even more important lever to activate. Sleeping in a cooler environment means your body is literally burning fat while you sleep, without any extra effort at all. So let me bring this all together for you. After consistently following this protocol, research suggests fasting insulin begins to improve, cortisol finds its natural rhythm again, and visceral fat, the deepest, most stubborn kind, starts to mobilize. It won't happen overnight, but the compounding effect of these daily signals adds up faster than you'd think. Not because you suffered more, not because you ate less and white-knuckled your way through cravings, but because you stopped sending your body danger signals and started sending it safety signals. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Your body is not broken. It is not betraying you. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting you from what it perceives as a threatening environment. Your job isn't to fight it. Your job is to change the conversation. The morning protocol is that conversation. Water and minerals. We have resources. Sunlight before screens. The world is safe. Delayed caffeine. We're not in crisis. A slow walk. We're not running from anything. 5 minutes of deep breathing. We are at rest. These are biological whispers, and your body listens. Don't work harder. Work with your body, not against it. Fix the first hour of your day, and your body will do the rest. And that is the protocol. 5 simple signals, 1 powerful shift in how your body operates every single day. If this gave you something useful, a new way of thinking about your body, about stress, about the morning, then you already know what to do. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, because we are just getting started. I'll see you in the next one.